Now, it seems right now that I'm joined by Sreeram Chaulia from the Jindal School of International Affairs. Thank you very much for being with us on this tragic situation right now. What was supposed to be a festive day, a day that actually celebrates the Queen, celebrates the mother as well as the father. Talk to me a little bit. Who could be behind the attack, in your opinion?
The Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand has said that he believes he says, one group, which is not the Muslim insurgents of the southern provinces. These attacks have actually not happened in the separatist southern provinces, where there are Malay Muslims who are opposed to ethnic domination by the Thai Buddhists and have run a long-term insurgency there. So this doesn't seem to be linked at all to that case. It's not a jihadist violence, it seems, from the government's perspective, but rather I think they're going to blame the opposition linked to the former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. And the timing, indeed, as you mentioned, it's the Queen's birthday, and that makes it all the more likely that there is some kind of link to the opposition, the political opposition, because there are Republicans among them who oppose the monarchy. Because traditionally, the Thai military, which is currently ruling, has been closely associated with the monarchy. And together, Buddhism, the army, and the monarchy have dominated Thai politics for a long time. Thaksin Shinawatra came in and created a kind of a democratic challenge to this establishment. And since he has been ousted, a lot of his followers are on the run, have been jailed, have been exiled. Thaksin himself is out of Thailand. His sister has been persecuted, Yingluck, who was dethroned through a military coup. So it does look like they're going to blame the Red Shirt movement or those who are associated with it. And there's just a new constitution that was passed in Thailand, which entrenches the role of the military.
All right, we're having some troubles hearing you right now, but I'm going to just jump in here if you don't mind. You mentioned that this does not seem like one of these southern separatist groups. In fact, Queen Sirikit has a good relationship with these groups. In fact, she's known for doing work trying to integrate these groups into the common culture. But you also mentioned that this happened 5 days after a referendum on a new constitution drafted by the military and seen as strengthening that military rule in the country. Do you think that these bombings are linked to that referendum, possibly?
Yes, absolutely. You see, the referendum, in a way, is re-establishing the fait accompli that the military had done through a coup in 2014. So General Prayut and his junta essentially are now saying that we are never going to go back to the past when Thaksin and his radicalism was challenging the Bangkok establishment and the urban elite. And this is the big social division in Thailand, which unfortunately I think the more they repress, the military is very ham-handed in the way it handles the opposition. It doesn't have any other means except brutality. So military dictatorships, as you know, worldwide create a lot of political alienation and resentment. So when people find that they have no outlet and that the establishment is hunkering down for long rule, remember the king himself, King Bhumibol, is very old and is not active in politics anymore. So it looks like the military is essentially running the country in the name of the king. And in this kind of situation, there is going to be a backlash. Remember, Hua Hin and Phuket, the places where the blast happened, have a lot of foreign tourists. It's known to be the backbone of Thai tourists in these two places. The choice of these two clearly shows that there is a frustration in the opposition. People are saying, not all is orderly and fine under military dictatorship. People will rebel, and if they're not allowed to rebel, they will come out with terrorist activities and these kinds of violent.
Well, you mentioned the political turmoil in the country. In fact, since 2006, there have been at least 5 different elections or coups, if you will. And in fact, it is believed that there will be no chance of any type of an election until 2017. What kind of a government is actually in place? And taking that a step further, what kind of a reaction from the Thai government do you expect, if there is one at all?
Well, currently it's a complete military-dominated system. They have appointed some civilians, but essentially General Prayut and the military top brass are running the country, along with the bureaucracy who have traditionally been allied with the military and with the monarchy and the Buddhist clergy. So there is a kind of social cleavage between these traditional establishment and the red shirts represented by Thaksin Shinawatra and his party. And the failure to accommodate Thaksin, or at least to bring in some of his alienated mass voters into the system, has been, I think, the Achilles heel of the current establishment. So how will the government respond to these attacks? Well, I think they're going to actually increase the clampdown, and they're going to say that there is a terrorist threat, and Thaksin is actually not just in exile but orchestrating terrorist attacks against the system, and that too he has insulted the monarchy by doing it on Mother's Day, on the Queen's birthday, and so on. So unfortunately, this is like political violence that is being multiplied. I mean, you cannot really call it classic jihadist kind of terrorism. I don't see it that way. It's more like political violence that has to do with, establishment versus opposition, and the, fragile social order in Thailand, where rural poor are with Thaksin. They still are, even though he's been exiled for a long time, they still have sympathies for him. And it looks like there may be a new kind of insurgency you will see in the main part of Thailand, in the Buddhist Thailand. The majority areas not related to the separatism, which is to do with the fact that the rights of the rural poor have been disregarded, and there is a large-scale resentment against the urban elites who are represented by the military and the monarchy.
In fact, you mentioned that big discrepancy between the poor and the people who have. There is a huge shadow economy happening there in Thailand. Now, the last time that we saw anything like this, the images coming from Thailand, the red shirts, they were burning tires. They were doing everything that they could to gain attention and disrupt the country and disrupt what was actually happening. Do you expect an immediate impact on the tourism industry in Thailand, which is so vital there in that country?
Yeah, as I said, Hua Hin and Phuket are prime destinations that attract large numbers, especially Australians and Americans and so on. And in Southeast Asia, these are very popular hangout spots. So, and more than 10% of Thailand's economy survives on tourism. So if the military is saying that everything is fine, the opposition is going to try and poke that claim by destabilizing or trying to destabilize. At least some elements of the opposition who are more radicalized and becoming violent out of frustration will say, no, it's not fine. Actually, the economy is going to go downhill, and this is one of the ways. So I think, as I said, it's a kind of large-scale revolt has now been suppressed. So you will find the emergence of these kind of acts. I'm afraid that Thailand is going backward, while Myanmar, which used to have a military dictatorship, is actually moving forward. So it's a strange kind of passing of the buck, where earlier Thailand used to look better, but now I think economically and also politically it's looking more fragile, more torn, and more broken.
I'm going to ask you to go down the rabbit hole, if you will. In recent months, we've seen key tourist locations targeted by terrorists, not just in India, but around the world. We're talking about Nice and Istanbul as well. Do you think that this is part of a new trend, or is this something completely different?
My sense is this is not part of the ISIS wave at all. There is Al-Qaeda affiliated, Muslim separatist insurgency in southern Thailand in 3 provinces, in Yala, in Narathiwat, and Patani. But these attacks have actually happened outside the provinces, where the Muslim insurgents don't have a big base to operate. And nor, there is supposedly also an ISIS interest in stoking the separatism in southern Thailand, in southern Philippines, and to create an Islamic, a new kind of wilayat or province of the ISIS caliphate. But this is not related to that. I mean, if you look at it, if it were Islamic jihadists, then probably they would have used a higher grade of violence and also struck in the heartland or in Bangkok. So I think these are actually remnants of the political opposition that are striking out. We have left stifling the military dictatorship.
All right. Sreeram Chaulia from Jindal School of International Affairs. And we know that the current situation in Thailand is happening in many different places. We do hope that you are able to stay safe as these series of events unfold. All right. Now, the latest explosions happened